Welcome back, everybody, to Pro Football Plus. It is a pleasure to have all of you with us tonight. Shane's on board as well. Yusef's on board with us as always. We are excited. The NFL season is this close, guys. It is right here, just a week or so away. We're getting so close. We are going to hit the NFL hard to open the show tonight. And then right before the NFL season gets here, we're going to peel off in a left turn, a hard left turn, and we're going to do several little fun things before we get real serious about real football next week. We're going to be doing a number of games next week, and then the season will be right on top of us. We'll have more to talk about football-wise than we could actually handle on this show for the next 5 months, all right? So I can't wait. It'll be a lot of fun. Hang with us all during the regular season, but thank you all for being with us. All right. First of all, tonight we're going to talk about let's do some Dallas Cowboys talk. CeeDee Lamb just did sign his big deal. I think it's $34 million a season, 4-year deal, 130 some change, whatever. At a certain point, who's counting, right? But CeeDee gets a pretty good deal here. Shane, what's next year for the Cowboys? How you feel about the deal?
I mean, I think it's something they had to do. CeeDee Lamb probably is their best all-around offensive player, depending on how you think about Dak. So, I think this CeeDee Lamb deal then rolls right into what we've talked about before. What's your next move with Dak Prescott? Is he your quarterback for now and for the future? Is he one more year? I think for the Cowboys, with the way they've played, Dak Prescott hasn't been the issue. But when you see your number one wide receiver get his money and you're the guy that's entrusted to get him the ball, I can't think that Dak didn't think that this money is going to help him somewhere down the road as well.
Yusef, your favorite team, man.
Not really, but happy for CeeDee Lamb. I feel like he deserved to have this, like Shane said. Number one offensive player they had that they shuttled everybody else off of the team. So you got to commit to him. So there was a little scuttlebutt a few weeks ago, but they gave him his money. $34 million doesn't seem like a lot, but it's up there with the highest ranking wide receiver. So I guess it makes sense. I don't think they're going with Dak after this. I think they got to address the Michael Parsons money. I think he's making like $5 million right now. That ain't going to be able to fly. I know it don't fly with Micah, so it's not going to fly with anybody else in his camp. So they probably got to address that first. But my feeling was always that only 2 of these 3 guys were going to get paid. That's what I thought was going to happen. They do some kind of a funny finagling with the salary cap. Only 2 guys are getting paid. I think that's going to be on the outside looking in with this concern. They might maybe do a magic trick and pay him too, but I just can't see it. He wants too much in the realm of $50 to $60 million. The Cowboys don't have it. I think they got $4.5 million available right now. So I don't know how they're even going to do Micah. But CeeDee got his money. Congrats to him. I think Micah should be next up.
I figure somewhat the same. I think Micah and CeeDee get paid, and someone in that building doesn't want to pay Dak Prescott. I don't know who it is. I don't think it's Jerry. I think it's either Jerry's son or it's one of the other loud voices. Yeah, no, I think Jerry's ready to pay Dak and move and win, and I think somebody else in the building is thinking, hey, the old man's about to kick the bucket here in a couple of years, and we don't want to be saddled with this salary cap problems here. So we ain't won those Super Bowls in the past several seasons. We ain't even close. So I think Jerry's the guy that wants to pay him. I think it's the other guys who don't. So
I've never seen anybody override Jerry. Have you? I've never seen that happen. Jerry hasn't given him a vote of confidence since he's been on his team.
Yeah.
No, Jerry hasn't given him the vote of confidence since he's been on his team at any point in time. Never happened.
I also think that Micah wants back to Pennsylvania. I think that's another reason why his deal hasn't been cut. I think he's a guy that's going to want to hit the free agent market because he knows there's 2 teams in that state that are going to look after him. I don't know. You're talking about money in that situation, but I think he's always been very forward that, he's a Pennsylvania guy. That's where his heart is. Also, if you're Dallas, what's a bigger stake in the heart? The only other choice would be if he ends up on Yusuf's team with the Giants. If you're going to go against the Cowboys, if you're going to sign somewhere and you stay inside the conference, that's a killer for them.
Oh, you got Yusuf all excited now, man.
Come on over.
I love it, man. Micah Parsons on the Giants and the Eagles. Yeah, light it up. All right.
That'd be nice.
All right. There's our Dallas Cowboys soap opera talk for
All
the
right, that's
night.
enough of that.
That's enough of that. Moving on. The New England Patriots. Some people had said, back during the spring, Drake Maye is going to need 6 months or a year before he's ready. Well, some people think he's ready now. And there's some interest as to whether or not he might actually start the season as a starter. And there's the Brissett kind of quasi-injury thing. So, Shane, you're the Patriots guy. Lead us off with what you want to happen on this quarterback front, and then what you think will, and then we'll jump in with our opinions, man.
Ooh, this is tough for me because I don't like any of these situations. I think with Jacoby Brissett, I don't think he was ever a starting quarterback. I think you brought him in. He was a short-term solution. He's been a short-term solution for the Patriots before, which again leads me to believe you knew he wasn't going to be your starter. I think Mays looked good. I mean, in all honesty, but it's against a weaker competition. I think Joe Milton has looked the best out of the quarterbacks that they have on the roster right now. Arm strength wise, control of the offense. Again, like I said, you're going third string against third string guys that are going to be substitute teachers and bus drivers later on down the road. But I mean, I think he has the premier arm strength on that. As when we talked about draft, Drake Maye was not my choice by far, but I think he's performed well enough to where you're going to give him the shot. Do I think the Patriots will start him in the first game? No. I think if Brissett, if they list him as healthy enough to go, I think he gets the start. Do I think he has a quick leash? Yes, 100%.
Youssef?
Well, it feels as though May is winning this job, but that doesn't say a lot. Brissett is not really like Shane said, he's not a starting quarterback. He hasn't really exhibited that for any stretch of time. If they want to do what they've been doing, which was kind of the Mac Jones and Billy Zappi experiment, do the same thing here. Go ahead and cut Brissett and just let him go, and go ahead and just build this from the ground up with Drake Maye and Milton. I mean, I like Milton. He from Michigan, so I like what I've seen him do before, but I know he has some accuracy issues, so I'm not going to it's not going to be a problem in the NFL. It probably will be. But if you want to go ahead and let this ride and just kind of just build it from the ground up, go ahead. I mean, Brissett's not really a stopgap. He never really has been a good one. Go ahead and just roll the dice and play these young guys. Maybe they catch on fire and surprise some folks and win more than 4 games next year. So just go ahead and just go for it. That's what I would do. I mean, why not? But.
Mm-hmm.
I'm fine either way. If Brissett's the starter, Maye's the starter. In an ideal world, maybe Maye comes in halfway through the season and then just plays the rest of the year. For me, the big thing, no matter when Maye comes in, I want to make sure he doesn't get beat to death. So I don't care if I have to keep in a tight end, play a fullback. I'm not going to do 5 wides and just let him get beat to death all year. That's the one thing I do not want to happen. So I don't care if we're conservative offense all year. I don't care if he starts right from game 1, week 1. That's all fine with me. But that this Patriot team is still working their talent level base back up from the weapons standpoint and the offensive line standpoint, and that's not great for Drake. So no matter when he comes in, make sure that you keep him safe. You don't have to cut loose and try to get super aggressive. Keep him safe. Let him work his way through. If everything starts to gel, if some wide receiver options start to open up, if the offensive line starts to work together better, then fine, open it up. But until then, keep it tight. Shane?
Well, I think the other key thing is, regardless of what the quarterback does, they have the weakest offense in the AFC East. So even if you switched in another quarterback, if you had Williams in there, if you had another trusted starter, the Patriots' offensive weapons are still the weakest in the AFC East, and they're pretty weak across the board in the AFC. Like you said, this is years in the making. Even if you're a Belichick disciple, they haven't been able to land a wide receiver in 20 plus years. I mean, you took 3rd and 4th rounders, slot receivers, and turned them into okay offensive weapons, but the last real wide receiver was Randy Moss, so you didn't draft him. They have had a weakness bringing in those type of weapons. And I think, just like you said, the other thing is young quarterbacks, you don't want them to get shell shocked because they're just getting hit every 3rd play. So.
All right, stay tuned. We will know in a very few days what's happening there on the Patriots front, quarterback-wise, and I think you said it right. Even if Brissett is the starter, I don't think necessarily he'll have a long leash with which to work. Let's move on to our main topic of the evening. The NFL season is right upon us. I want the top 5 or so things that you're most looking for in this NFL season. I basically got one topic with, a whole subset right in there. I'm curious to see where you guys are going. Shane, bat and lead off, man. Take it away.
Okay, so bat and lead off, I decided I'd take a little bit of a lead from what we just talked about. I think rookie quarterbacks are probably my 1A. My 1B is the Harbaugh brothers, both back in the NFL. We've talked about it multiple times. I'm a big Jim Harbaugh fan, and I think he's going to change the Chargers around. The number 3, I think special teams. I think it's going to play a big part this year. The return game also, kickers being cut, moved around. I think there's going to be some openings where there could be some games that really come down to special teams this year. To kind of placate a little bit of the Kansas City fans, Carson Steele, I think he has really ingratiated himself to that fan base. He was a MAC attack college football guy, and then got 1 year at UCLA where people got a chance to see him. He's also a great personality. His father might win Father of the Year / possible criminal indictment for buying his son an alligator when he was a child. So, I mean, I know that that's going to come up in every NFL countdown show for the next couple of months. And then the last item on mine was the hot seats. I'm really interested to find out who's the first coach that's really going to get the heat turned up after a lopsided loss, or also some of those guys that maybe pull their team, out of the fire.
I love it. Yeah, especially the Carson Steele thing. But you mentioned the special teams. I'm still behind on that. I've heard the rules. I've watched a little bit of the preseason and how it works. But man, I know I'm still going to get caught off guard during that first week or so of NFL play when somebody's doing something we haven't seen in a while from a special team standpoint. Like, oh yeah, that's a big thing now. So everybody's working on staying caught up on that. Yourself, what you looking for?
All right, I'm a big football fan, man. So longer season means more games. So we're getting 18. I'm happy. Let's keep it going, man. I missed it when it was going. I'm excited about it being back. So I guess that'd be my first one. My second one's going to be hearing that NFL theme music, man. I still get chills, man. I don't care if it's Fox, CBS, whatever it is, whatever station it is. When I hear that music, I feel a chill go down my spine. Yeah, baby, I love it. Oh, I'm so excited. The third thing I want to see is NFL going international. They've been trying to do that to a degree, but now they're going into Germany and Mexico and other places. It's like, wow. Now I want the U.S. fans to see what it's like to appreciate NFL football. Because sometimes in our country, we kind of get lax about that and take it for granted. These folks that got it internationally, they go crazy over it. They are loving it. And it's like in London, you can see a great example in London. They're up early in the morning, early for us, late for them, but they are excited about football and they are ravenous about it and they want it. We can learn from them. My fourth thing is going to be seeing somebody actually beat the Chiefs. I'm sorry, man. I don't want to see a three-peat. I'm sorry. I feel like this league is too talented and there's too much going on out here for. I ain't saying nothing about the refs. That's just a side note that keep that in the back of your mind. But I don't want to see a three-peat happen, and I don't want to see that. I want to see some variety because that's what makes it fun. And that kind of leads into my fifth and final thing I want to see is that Cinderella team. We have all these prediction shows. We try to predict what's going to happen. We've done it on this show. Who's going to be that team that's going to come out of the box and get in the playoffs? And we almost always get it wrong. We never get it right. I can't wait. I'm glad we don't get it right because it's more fun that way. I want to see that Cinderella team that we didn't expect come out of the box, play to the point where they get in the playoffs and surprise the whole world. I want to see it. It's so much fun. It makes the NFL better too. So I'm excited about seeing those 5 things happen.
Every year, we all put together our predictions, and they all make a ton of sense. And there's 1 or 2 teams that just kind of come out of nowhere, and sometimes it's just for one season, but it is a lot of fun. There's no question about it. My things I'm looking forward to comes straight out of one category. Shane already mentioned it. It's the rookie quarterbacks. For me, it's more specifically the young quarterbacks. So That would include last year's crop, like Anthony Richardson. He'll be coming back. We'll see if he's the real deal or not once he's fully back in the swing of things. All of this year's rookie quarterbacks, which, McCarthy's pretty much done for the year for the Vikings, but still, we got 4 other rookie quarterbacks plus last year's crop. So I'm looking at all those young guys, even the C.J. Stroud, even the Jordan Love. I'll throw him in there. Watching these young guys, it makes up about a quarter of the league. These young guys are going to be starting at some point this year. So that really is, for me, one of the big things I enjoy watching, not only the fun of it, but the strategy of it, because we've got other teams that are paying a ton of money, ton of cap space to these other quarterbacks. You come in with a rookie, if he can light it up, major advantage for you. So I can't wait. The NFL season's almost here. We're looking forward to all of it. We're going to enjoy every bit of it. So, all right. That's going to be all the NFL for tonight. Like I said, next week, we're going to hit it hardcore every single week for 5 months. Next, we're going to do a little negativity here tonight. Nothing like a little bit of negativity to spice up the show. I want to know your least favorite fast food restaurant. It doesn't necessarily mean that you hate the place, but there's got to be one that you're like, I don't really want to go there, considering I've got all these other options here right on the same road. So, Shane, from the great north, man.
So this is one that I always bring up when these questions come, Ben. I feel like my choices are sliced in half compared to my southern brethren on this one.
Yes.
So you mentioned spices. For me, I picked KFC. And it's one that I don't normally have it a lot. And I maybe don't even think of it so much as fast food, but it's just so far back in my mind that I can go months before that would even come up as an opportunity for me to go have it. So not that I've had like a bad meal or any terrible experience from it, but that's what I would put as my number one.
Shane, you have almost never said anything on the show that offended me, but that one does, man. You're killing me. KFC is like my favorite. Like, I love the spices. The biscuits, I don't necessarily need those biscuits, say a little on the dry side, but the potatoes and the gravy and the chicken, my gosh, that's the best as it gets, man. But hey, I know we all have a different flavor. So.
I will also say though, Ben, so in the town that I live in, the KFC has a tendency to burn down like every quarter year. So It's also one of those ones where you're just like, when it just keeps on happening time and time again, you question what else might go on in that place. So like I said, no offense to the Colonel, but
I get it, man. By the way, my kids think that the KFC logo, is a stick man. It's not the Colonel Sanders with the bow tie. It's Colonel Sanders with the stick man figure. That's how they view it. All right, Youssef, we're going to offend a whole bunch of people tonight, all 3 of us. So you go ahead and pick out the group you're going to make mad, man.
We're most definitely going to do that. I stopped eating most of the stuff years ago, mainly for just to maintain my health. But out of the least few that are left, I'll give a dishonorable mention to Chick-fil-A. I know people are going to hate that. Especially all my Christian brethren are going to hate that because if you look at the ingredients, you can't tell me this is God's chicken. God's not behind. God's not behind.
Pretty sure that's God's chicken.
I'm sorry, He's not behind this. All those ingredients you can't even pronounce, it's not Him. It's another God. It's not the only true and living God. But that's not my choice today. My choice is going to be Chipotle. I was doing that because I'm into the rice, the beans, the lettuce, the kind of a little taco type thing in a bowl. But they got a history of food safety issues. I don't know if you hear about that kind of stuff, but the E. coli breakouts are tremendous. The rodents, discrimination with the wages and stuff, and the food may not be fresh all the time too, and it's high in calories. I'm like, man. I try to find a reasonable separation from things like a Burger King or McDonald's, KFC, but I can't do Chipotle anymore either. So it's on my hit list of I can't eat that anymore ever again in life stuff. So it's gonna be Chipotle with a Chick-fil-A get a dishonorable mention. 79 ingredients in their chicken. How many do you need, man? Chicken, spices, done. Why you need 79 ingredients? Something ain't right. I'm just saying. It's not God's chicken.
Look, the way I hear it, and this ain't me saying it, the way I hear it, you don't get to heaven unless you stop by Chick-fil-A first.
The lemonade is heavenly, but that's about all I'm going to say.
All right, I'm going to give out a dishonorable mention to a restaurant I actually like, and that's McDonald's. I love McDonald's. I can eat just about anything from there. But in my area, you might as well rename them Pull 'em Up, because about half the time, no matter what you order, it can be one biscuit, one sandwich, you getting pulled up half the time. That McDonald's has flat out quit trying in my area to do anything fast. Come to the window, pull them up. We'll bring it out later. So I love you, McDonald's, but you quit trying to do anything fast a few years ago. I'm going to make some people mad here. I don't mean to. I'm sorry, y'all, but it was such a disappointment. Popeyes is going to be my least favorite. Okay. I was told for years, I was promised how wonderful this food was going to be. And while it wasn't bad, it wasn't great either. I mean, something about the sandwich and the spices and what else came on the sandwich just didn't do it for me. So while I realize that it's maybe the chicken of the South, I don't know, it didn't do anything for me. So Popeyes, unfortunately, getting the low water marks on my side of the fast food thing, man.
Yeah.
The cult of the chicken is going to come for us after this week.
Whew, boy, we hit the chicken places hard, man.
I said what I said. They call me Mr. U. Go ahead and bring it. I said what I said.
We took out KFC, Chick-fil-A, and Popeyes all in one slice.
Free speech, baby. I said what I said.
I was gonna say, other than Kenny Rogers, I think we've eliminated all chicken entities.
Well, not all of them now, but just not all the fast food. I can go to a restaurant and get some chicken. It's okay.
Well, I am curious.
I can cook chicken too. I mean, I'm not disagreeing with you.
Right downstairs. I don't need 79 ingredients either.
No, exactly, not 79.
Unbelievable.
I am curious, since we destroyed the chicken people, how many of y'all like Bojangles? Anybody's a Bojangles legit? No? All right, no from yourself.
Do it, baby. No sponsorships this way.
Any Bojangles up that way?
Never had Bojangles.
Okay. All right. Well, I like it. I recommend the biscuit.
You're better for it. You're healthier because of it.
We're going to stay on this negativity track because we got three guys who are dads and we're progressing in life, okay? We're getting mature like cheese, you know? So we're going to talk about some things that make us feel old. And maybe it's nothing. Maybe it's a long list. I don't know. We're going to talk about things that make you feel old. Shane, what you got?
So I went the sports track first, and baseball. I feel like baseball is a sport, regardless of the age that you're at. There's always going to be a time where you go directly back in my day, they didn't do this or they didn't do that. I think that baseball's hit a point now where that happens like literally every game. There's always someone on Twitter, X, whichever you choose to call it, talking about how back in my day, somebody would have ate that one in the ear hole, things like that come up. I feel like baseball's the number one where you hear that all the time. For me, one thing I notice a lot is when I am coaching kids whose parents played against me, like right away, it makes you realize how many years ago that you played. And then cell phones. Cell phones are probably my number one because
really,
well, it can probably just be me. I am a big fan of, I want my cell phone to allow me to talk to the people I want to talk to, and past that, I don't really need much more of it. And then every single new modification for a cell phone does something else that I didn't need it to do, but now is something I need to learn how to, manipulate. And I tend to think that I'm not technically deficient, but every single time my kids will come up after practice and try to show me something, and I'm over it, guys. Just call me. Thank you.
I feel you, man. I feel you on all of that. Yourself, maybe you don't feel old, but what's some things that might make you feel old?
Well, I got three things. I had to stop at three. The first one is today's music. I mean, everybody, most things I talk about will take me back into the 90s. I don't care if it's music, the NBA. I always go back to the 90s because that was just a sweet spot for me. That was the golden era, if you will, for most things in my life: sports, music, culture, clothing, you name it, any kind of trend. But today's music is god awful, and I feel like I'm in some kind of strange time warp. Mumble rap. What are we talking about exactly? I'm take me back to music that I understand. Words I have to go to a literature to understand what the words are. Help me with that. That's number one. Number two, having those pains in your body parts that came out of nowhere. You didn't do anything. You weren't doing anything athletically. You weren't doing anything. And all of a sudden, this pain comes that it's a crippling pain. At least momentarily, anyway. You're like, what? Where did this come from? I feel old when that kind of stuff happens. Last thing is when I try to share 70s, 80s, 90s trivia on Twitter. Back to Twitter again. I don't know what, maybe it's just a platform. And somebody have to say, I never heard of that before. I'm like, it's like a knife in the heart. It's so painful. I'm like, it's not good. You feel old when that kind of stuff happens too. So yeah, that's just three of many reasons why I feel old a lot of the time. But
hey, I'm with you on all of that. Mine are different, so here they come. My first one is I don't know when they started hiring teenagers to be doctors and nurses and police officers and firefighters and all that stuff. But the first time I went to a doctor's office and some 16-year-old walked in and started telling me stuff that I'd never heard of before, I felt old, okay? I don't know when that started happening. That's the thing, okay? So, all these 16 and 18-year-olds running the country and stuff like that. Not the presidency, of course. We got the 80-year-olds doing that. But everything else belongs to the 16-year-olds, okay? So, I mean, I don't know when that started, but that made me feel old. 9/11, man, I tell you, serious subject here. 9/11 was a monumental thing for me and my generation. We will never, ever forget where we were when it happened. But there are most people today, 30 years old and under. That's a huge part of the population. If you're 30 years old and under, you probably have zero, and I mean zero memory of 9/11. And you kind of mention it, bringing it up, and they're like, they know it was important, kind of like we knew Pearl Harbor was important, but it happened so long before us, we just never felt it the same way. That's the look you get a lot of times when you talk to young people about it. And so I don't necessarily try because they feel old. So talk about it with the older people. 30 and under, man, that's a lot of adults walking around out there. No recollection of it at all. And to me, it just feels like yesterday. I can instantly remember where I was, not just that day, but that week. And then the months that followed. That entire time period was just life-changing. So many people don't even know it. They don't remember it. Wasn't either wasn't alive or not old enough to remember it. And then the third thing, sports related, man. Watching the kids. Okay, so I watched people play when I was a kid, right, in the majors and in the pro sports. Now I'm watching their kids play, but not only that, watching their kids retire. So I remember the first time this happened was when I watched Cecil Fielder's kid, Prince Fielder, play, because I watched Cecil play. I watched Prince play. He retired. He's been retired for a while now. But that's getting to be the norm for me now, especially in Major League Baseball. The kids of people I watched growing up are now retiring. So that makes me feel old too. But that's it. There's some other things. That's my list for the night. So, all right.
Good list.
We're gonna stay on this negativity theme tonight. All right. We're gonna take a positive spin on something negative here. I want to know your favorite brand that either doesn't exist anymore at all or has shrunk a lot from the national entity that it used to be, more back to a regional kind of a standing. Shane.
So I went with Toys R Us and Jeffrey the Giraffe. Those type of kids' toy stores, not just Toys R Us, but across the line, KB Toys, those type of places don't exist anymore. And like I said, I'm not going to say it was the greatest thing, but that type of business that was catered directly towards something, those brick and mortar stores that are going away. And then the other thing that I thought, actually Yusuf hit on it when he was talking about like the 90s. The other thing I thought that's really gone away is like theme songs. Like when you're talking about when you hear the NFL song, come on, whether it's NBC, ESPN. The one that I thought about, number one, was NBA on NBC. Yes. That John Tesh just slamming the keys. And like the second I heard that, I didn't even care who was playing. I knew I was going to at least turn into a little bit just so I got to hear that opening, and then we'll see who's playing. It could be Pacers versus anybody at that point, but you're gonna tune into it a little bit. So those were the two things I said.
Man, I could talk all night on those old sports themed intros, right? Because the 80s really kind of started taking off on that, and then the 90s just perfected it. Late 80s, early 90s just perfected that thing. But it was everything. It was MLB on CBS and on NBC, and then it was the college basketball, of course, has the same theme intro ending that's had for decades now. But the NBA on NBC was perfect. It never got any better than the NBA on NBC. That was just absolute perfection. But even football on this NFL on NBC back in the 80s had a nice, cool little jingle. But then you segued into the NFL on basically, and Yusef started mentioning it, basically all the networks in the 90s had a cool NFL jingle that they really brought in. And boy, just the memories that instantly come back. They have some jingles these days, but they don't put as much work into it. It's a lot shorter. It's not the production level that it used to be. Oh,
well, like some of the voices of that, like NFL Films, you would just hear that bravado voice, and you were like, okay, I don't know why this is important, but I am not turning away from them telling me that Mad Dog Mike Curtis used to tell reporters that he used to shoot BBs at each other and ride his bicycle in the walls. Like, I remember those things, and just hearing that voice on those NFL films, and you knew, like, okay, I'm about to watch somebody just get smacked by LT, and then there's going to be a short interlude, and then you're going to hear about the next guy, and then the next time. Yeah, I think some of those voices are lost a lot, like Yusuf said. Same in music. Everything. A lot of people have become auto-tune, and I mean, the only voice that I think of now when it comes to sports like that is Liv Shriver doing like anything HBO request of him right now. And I think he's got another voice that when you hear him, you automatically go, okay, this is going to be okay.
Oh, man, you're speaking my language. I know maybe we're coming off old here because we felt old in the last set, but I don't care, man. You're speaking my language here. That's some perfect stuff right there. All right, Yusef, I don't remember what the topic is, but whatever it is, go ahead and give us your take on it.
Okay. You might need therapy after the episode is over. We're we're in pain, we sad. I'm like, this is a lot of emotions going on. But honorable mention to Radio Shack, man. You walk into that place, man. If you love electronics, and I still am an electronics geek. You walk into that place, man, your head will spin like it's wall to wall electronics is sick. I miss that.
Walkman, baby.
Yeah, whatever you want. Boombox, I mean, TV. I'm like, how are they in business? It was amazing. But that's not what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about Tower Records. Now, I was a musician back in the day and an avid music lover still. That hasn't changed. Over 200 record stores worldwide. Once the big box stores like Best Buy and Walmart start selling music, kind of knocked them out of the box, and it became mainly an online store. To tell you the truth, I had no idea they were still even in business at all. I didn't know the online store at all. I mean, right now, even in that realm, we don't even need them anymore because of how music is being streamed. So it was unparalleled with the amount of hours I put into that place. I mean, even the ones especially back home in New York, when you walk into those places, man, when you step in there, I mean, first you're gonna hear the music. You're gonna hear the music outside, a block away from where the store is. So it's loud, you're hearing it. When you walk in that place, I'm talking about wall to wall like Radio Shack, but this is 10 times better than that. I'm talking about wall to wall music, multiple floors, music everywhere, tapes, cassettes, CDs, it's like everywhere. And it's like, I used to spend hours in there just to kill time. Would have killed 4 to 6 hours. Easy. I spent 8 hours in that place before. But it was so much to see. You had to go. There's no way you couldn't, go through everywhere because you might be that new single that you didn't know about, the new album getting ready to come out from your favorite artist. Yeah. And you got to go find it. But it's like wall to wall in there. I mean, I haven't spent that much time in Best Buy and Walmart combined in all those years like I spent in Tower Records. So I missed that spot, man. That was a beautiful memory for me. So love that. That's my brand.
Yeah, when you're talking about experiences, you can't recreate that, man. Those experiences that you get at a certain time of life, irreplaceable. Love it. Love it. All right. Shout out, honorable mention to Kodak. I love the Kodak cameras, especially the old Polaroids, man. You get instant camera, instant picture. You can hand it to somebody. Love that. All right. You can still do it. Look at your local drugstore, right? Shane actually took mine. Mine was Toys R Us. I'm going to go somewhere else here in a second, but huge shout out to Toys R Us. We had one here in my area, and we didn't go to it every month, but boy, it's like going to heaven on earth. Toys everywhere, tall store. And man, the baseball card section had the baseball, football, basketball cards, just a whole huge section. Then you had a whole another huge section of Legos and a huge section of G.I. Joes and a huge section of Barbies, which I didn't buy. But man, you talk about toys everywhere. It was perfect. And, to get to go there close to Christmas and maybe actually pick out some things that might show up under your Christmas tree in a few weeks, that was sweet. Awesome. So, hey, at the Toys R Us, they weren't really able, online shopping kind of took them out, along with, as usual, some failures to adjust. But shout out to Toys R Us. I'm going to hit the food places, man, okay? So I don't know how big these places ever actually got, but in my area, they were huge. So Shoney's, Quincy's, and Ryan's. You talk about some good food that ain't around no more, man. You talk about the yeast rolls. Oh, the yeast rolls were perfect. The little chicken wings that you could get. All you can eat, just little tiny chicken wings. You'd eat 35 of them, but it was awesome. The Shoney's ice cream and desserts that they had, man, good stuff. But they're not around anymore. You can find the Shoney's maybe in North Carolina every great once in a while. It's out there somewhere. But boy, that was some good eating back in the 80s and 90s, man. Shoney's, I think, went first. Quincy's and Orion's kind of shoved them out, and then Quincy's and Orion had to go because all these other places were coming in. But man, some good eating.
Good memories. Good memories of them places, man.
Yeah.
Oh,
me and the whole family. My dad couldn't afford this much, but we had 6 of us kids. And so you can imagine 8 of us showing up there at the Ryan's buffet to get all them little chicken wings and yeast rolls. Clean them out, baby. All right. Shane, let's have your final 60 and let's knock it down, man.
Okay, my final 60. I see you're wearing the Colorado Buffaloes hat today, Ben. Week 0 of college football. Georgia Tech pulls a pretty big upset against Florida State. I think, again, we talked about coaches that change mentality. Brent Key, former offensive line coach, literally when asked about it, goes, we're going to run the ball. And that's exactly what Georgia Tech did. Took it right to Florida State. Not an easy trip for either of them. Fly from, Southern America to Ireland, play that game, and all the other things that are involved in it. But I think that game has become a pretty interesting game to see each year. And my hat's off to Brent Key and Georgia Tech.
I love it, man. College football's here. Shane, me and you love that college football stuff. We're going to be watching it all season. There's some really good games on this weekend for week 1, not week 0, week 1. There's like 5 or 6 monster games, just brand versus brand, and in some cases high ranking, So if you like college football, if you just like big games, boy, this is the weekend for you. Texas, Notre Dame, Miami, Florida, Georgia, Clemson. There's 3 or 4 more, just real good old slobber knockers, buddy. Check them out. All right, Youssef, what you got? Final 60.
All right. Wondering about the future of sports. Everything works it's kind of sports as well. It's kind of cyclical. And, generations, they kind of carry on traditions and legacies and stuff, especially when it comes to sports. But there's an alarming number of Gen Zers born from 97 and 2012 who are considered anti-sports, don't care about sports. They're in a generation of social isolation. They're said to lack intense feelings about anything, don't know their neighbor's name, just totally detached societally and culturally and every other way. And they don't seem concerned about preserving tradition. I know people probably laugh and say, oh, sports ain't going, it's going to be here forever and stuff, but these numbers are kind of unheard of. So I just wonder what the impact's going to be. I mean, the Gen Zers, they spend probably more time in front of the TV, but they're not watching sports, and I don't know how major sports executives are going to deal with that, trying to get them to care about sports. They tried to have a marketing strategy with this whole Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift thing. That was entirely a marketing strategy to try to get the Gen Zers to watch more sports. Not sure if it helped. It annoyed me. I don't know if it actually helped that at all. But they said to be the loneliest generation. So if you got young people in that age group, get them involved with sports. get them involved athletically, get them into communities and clubs and groups, get them involved in learning how to work together as teams and connecting with their fellow human beings, because they're in danger of becoming social hermits, and it's like it's not good. So maybe it's supposed to survive, but hopefully that generation will too.
You are not wrong. Things take time to change, right? But they do change. You look at what people in this country were doing, say, 200 years ago, completely different than anything we're doing now. And you look 100 years ahead, going to be pretty different too. So, yeah, that's. I know people say, "Hey, sports is here to stay; it's forever great." Well, maybe not. Boxing has faded, baseball has faded, NASCAR has faded. We'll see. It wouldn't surprise me. So, all right. My final 60 is just a shout out to everybody who always works on this show, and a heads up that starting next week, I've already said it, we are going to do 6 NFL games. We've already picked them out. We're going to pick them against the spread. Our contest is going to start back up. So me, yourself, Austin, Shane, whoever's here for that week, we're going to start back up the contest, and we're going to get this third contest rolling. We're going to be picking 6 games. We won't pick 6 games every week. We'll probably just pick a couple every week because there's going to be so many topics to talk about. We're going to highlight it up. We're going to put attention on people that need more attention than they're getting. We're going to be talking about the big stories as well. So stay with us. It's going to be fantastic. That's it, man. We're done. Everybody have a great one. Bye.